Hi everyone, so today we are continuing with our series of 2nd Samuel, and now in chapter 4. The last time we had a look at how Abner was killed by Joab, yeah, and David was totally unaware of that. So when he found out, he said something very serious. Yes, he said that may the Lord repay the evildoer according to his evil deeds. In other words, even though Joab was his man of war and his general, he was pretty much saying that Joab should take care or be taken care of by God for what he had done. And he placed he washed his hands and said that Joab should bear the consequences of killing Abner. So now we go to chapter 4, and I'll read. And it says that when Ish-bosheth, son of Saul, heard that Abner had died in Hebron, he lost courage. Remember that Ish-bosheth was now the king after Saul had died, together with his sons. And Ish-bosheth was a survivor of the family, and he was crowned king of Israel by Abner. And Abner now is dead, and that was the guy who brought him to power, basically. So he lost courage, and all Israel became alarmed. Now Saul's son had two men who were leaders of raiding bands, one named Baanah and the other Rechab. They were sons of Rimmon and Berthorite from the tribe of Benjamin. Beroth is considered part of Benjamin because the people of Beroth fled to Gittim and have resided there as foreigners to this day. Jonathan, son of Saul, had a son who was lame in both feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel. His nurse picked him up and fled, but as she hurried to leave, he fell and became disabled. His name was Ish-bosheth. Now Rechab and Baanah, the sons of Rimmon and Berothite, set out for the house of Ish-bosheth, and they arrived there in the heat of the day while he was taking his noonday rest. They went into the inner part of the house as if to get some wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach. Then Rechab and his brother Baanah slipped away. They had gone into the house while he was laying on the bed in his bedroom. After they stabbed and killed him, they cut off his head, taking it with them. They traveled all night by way of Arabah. They brought the head of Ish-bosheth to David at Hebron and said to the king, "Here is the head of Ish-bosheth, son of Saul, your enemy who tried to kill you. This day the Lord has avenged my lord the king against Saul and his offspring." David answered Rechab and his brother Baanah, the sons of Rimmon and Berothite, "As surely as the Lord lives, who has delivered me out of every trouble, when someone told me Saul is dead and thought he was bringing good news, I seized him and put him to death in Ziklag. That was the reward I gave him for the news. How much more when wicked men have killed an innocent man in his own house and on his own bed? Should I not now demand his blood from your hand and rid the earth of you?" So David gave an order to his men, and they killed them. They cut off their hands and feet and hung the bodies by the pool of Hebron. But they took the head of Ish-bosheth and buried it in Abner's tomb in Hebron. Wow! So this man, the family of Saul's says in verse 2 that Saul's son had two men who were leaders. So they were leaders, and the name was Baanah and the other Rechab. Now these are Saul's sons' men, and they killed him in his bed in cold blood. And they go to David same way, and he says, even David recounts this case where very similar. This man had gone to him and told him that God had avenged him now that Saul was dead. And David says, "Look, I killed that man. I had him killed." Because he thought he was bringing me good news, he seized him and put him to death at Ziklag. That was the reward I gave him for his news. That's verse 10. And verse 11 it says, how much more, when wicked men have killed an innocent man in his own house and on his own bed, should I not now demand his blood from your hand and rid the earth of you? So David gave the order to his men, and they killed them. The two men, they cut off their hands and feet and hung the bodies by the pool of Hebron. But they took the head of Ish-bosheth, and in respect, David's men, under the orders of David, buried Ish-bosheth's head in Abner's tomb. Wow, it's a moving story of how cold-blooded people can be when they're looking for what? Power? Is that what they wanted? They just wanted to